As you scaled up, if you could just give some advice to the audience, I'm sure a lot of people are going through the same thing where they have developers using Prometheus. What were the steps that your team went through?
We didn't necessarily always start with a well-instrumented system on day one. And I think one of the lessons we learned is like adopt monitoring and adopt operational visibility as early as possible, day one if you can, in the process of building a new application. That history, that context about how things are running will be invaluable as you evolve your applications and evolve projects. So instrument early, I think, is something that we didn't necessarily do on day one, but we've learned is super important. So I think that's one dimension. I think the other dimension is having a central context, like being able to see all the components of your application in one place. We wound up with very distributed kind of islands of monitoring. This team could see their service, that team could see their service. There was no way to see what was going on overall. So going to a centralized monitoring infrastructure where you can feed data from lots of systems in, also really valuable. That tends to be a later step for people, but more valuable if you do it up front. And then finally, a lot of people start by running it themselves, like running monitoring infrastructure themselves. One of the good and bad things about developers is like we think we can solve all problems on our own, so lots of people kind of DIY their solutions. But leveraging monitoring as a service and leveraging a system that's built for scale just takes all that burden off your plate, and you don't wind up in a situation where you're spending a lot of time running something you don't really want to, or you're doing a bad job at running it and you're missing alerts and you're missing information because you're spending all your time fighting with your monitoring system.